She pulled about a yard of toilet paper off the roll and sort of wiped herself. You could offer to help, but she'd just say, "No, I do it myself." Gregor made sure she washed and dried her hands, then reached for the lotion so he could rub some into her chapped skin. Lizzie caught his sleeve as he was about to squeeze the bottle. "That's shampoo," she said in alarm. Almost everything alarmed Lizzie these days. "Right," said Gregor, switching bottles. "We have jelly, Gregor?" asked Boots hopefully as he massaged the lotion into the backs of her hands. Gregor smiled at this new pronunciation of his name. He'd been Gego for about a year, but Boots had recently added an R. "Grape jelly," said Gregor. "I got it just for you. You hungry?" "Yes," said Boots, and he swung her up onto his hip. A cloud of warmth enveloped him as he brought Boots into the kitchen. His dad was just pulling a tray of drop biscuits out of the oven. It was good to see him up, doing something even as simple as making his kids breakfast. More than 2.5 years as a prisoner of the huge, bloodthirsty rats in the Underland had left his dad a very sick man. When Gregor returned from his second visit at Christmas, he brought back some special medicine from the Underland. It seemed to be helping. His dad's fevers were less frequent, his hands had stopped shaking, and he had regained some weight. He was a long way from well, but Gregor's secret hope was that if the medicine kept working, his dad might get to go back to his job as a high school science teacher in the fall. Gregor slid Boots into the cracked, red plastic booster seat they'd had since he was a baby. She drummed her heels happily on the chair in anticipation of breakfast. It looked good, too, especially for an end-of-the-month meal. Gregor's mom got paid on the 1st of every month, and they were always out of money by then. But his dad served each of them 2 biscuits and a hard-boiled egg. Boots had a cup of watery apple juice. They were trying to make that last, and everybody else drank hot tea. His dad told them to start eating while he took a tray of food to their grandma. She spent a lot of time in bed, even when the weather was milder, but this winter she'd rarely left it. They'd put an electric space heater in her room, and she had lots of quilts on her bed. Still, whenever Gregor went in to see her, her hands were cold. "Jelly, jelly, jelly," said Boots in a sing-song voice. Gregor broke open her biscuits and put a big spoonful on each. She took a huge bite of one immediately, smearing purple all over her face. "Hey, eat it, don't wear it, okay?" said Gregor, and Boots got a fit of the giggles. You had to laugh when Boots laughed. She had such a goofy, hiccupy little kid laugh, it was contagious. Gregor and Lizzie had to hurry through breakfast so they wouldn't be late for school. "Brush your teeth," reminded their dad as they rose from the table. "I will if I can get in the bathroom," said Lizzie, grinning at Gregor. It was a family joke now, how much time he spent in the bathroom. There was only the one bathroom in the apartment, and since Gregor had taken to locking himself in to read the prophecy, everybody had noticed. His mom kept teasing him about trying to look good for some girl at school, and he pretended she was right by doing his best to act embarrassed. The truth was, he was thinking about a girl, but she didn't go to his school, and he wasn't worried about what she thought of his hair. He was wondering if she was even alive. Luxa. She was the same age as him, 11, and already she was the queen of regalia, or at least she had been queen until a few months ago. Against the Regalian Council's wishes, she had secretly flown after Gregor to help him on the mission to kill the Bane. She had saved Boots's life by taking on a pack of rats in a maze and allowing his baby sister to escape on a devoted cockroach. But where was Luxa now? Wandering lost in the dead land? A prisoner of the rats? Dead? Or had she by some miracle made it home? And there was Luxa's bat, Aurora, and Temp, the cockroach who had run with Boots, and Twitch-Tip, a rat whose nose was so keen she could detect color. All his friends, all missing in action, all weaving through his dreams at night and preoccupying his thoughts when he was awake. Gregor had told the Underlanders to let him know what happened. They were supposed to leave him a message in the grate in his laundry room, which was a gateway to the Underland. Why hadn't they? What was going on? Not knowing about Luxa and the others, trying to decipher the mysterious prophecy on his own. The combination of these things was driving Gregor crazy. It was a huge effort to pay attention in class, to act normal around his friends, to hide his worries from his family, because any hint that he was planning to return to the Underland would throw them into a panic. He was constantly distracted, not hearing people when they spoke, forgetting things. Like now. "Gregor, your backpack," said his dad, as he and Lizzie headed out the door. "Think you might need that today." "Thanks, Dad," said Gregor, avoiding his father's eyes, not wanting to see the concern there. He and Lizzie took the stairs down to the lobby and braced themselves before stepping out into the street. A bitter blast of wind went right through his clothes, as if they weren't even there. He could see tears spilling out of Lizzie's eyes. They always watered in the wind. "Let's hustle, Liz. Least it will be warm at school," said Gregor. They hurried through the streets as fast as the icy sidewalks would let them. Fortunately, Lizzie's elementary school was only a couple of blocks away. She was small for her age, delicate, his mom called her. "One good strong wind would blow you away," his grandma would say when she hugged Lizzie. And today, Gregor wondered if she might be right. "You'll pick me up after school, right? You'll be here?" asked Lizzie at the door. "Of course," said Gregor. She gave him a reproachful look. He'd forgotten twice in the last month, and she'd had to sit in the office and wait for someone to come get her. "I'll be here." Gregor plowed back into the wind with almost a sense of relief. Even if his teeth were chattering, at least he could have a few minutes without anybody interrupting him. Immediately, his thoughts turned to the Underland and what might be happening there now. Somewhere far beneath his feet, it was just a matter of time before Gregor would be called back down. He knew that. That's why he spent so much time in the bathroom, studying the new prophecy, trying to understand its frightening words, desperate to prepare for his next challenge in any way he could. The Underlanders were depending on him. But the Underlanders... At first, he'd made excuses for their silence, but now he was just mad. Not only was there no word about Luxa or his other missing friends, Gregor also had no clue what had happened to Ares, the big black bat whom he trusted above anyone in the Underland. Ares and Gregor were bonds, sworn to protect each other to the death. The journey to track down and kill the Bane had been dreadful, but if one good thing had come of it, it was that the relationship between Gregor and Ares had become unshakable. Unfortunately, Ares was an outcast among the humans and bats. He had let his first bond, Henry, fall to his death to save Gregor's life. Even though Henry was a traitor and Ares had done the right thing, the Underlanders hated him. They also blamed the bat for not killing the Bane, although, technically, that had been Gregor's job. Gregor had a bad feeling that wherever Ares was, he was suffering. As he pulled open the door to his school, Gregor tried to replace thoughts of the Underland with his math assignment. Every Friday, they had a quiz first thing. Then there was half-court basketball and gym, some kind of sugar crystal experiment in science, and finally, lunch. Gregor's stomach was always growling at least a full hour before he reached the cafeteria. Between the cold